Hey, what it is. Y'all already know it is. It's one of your hosts, the big boss hog, boss dog, K Paul through the door. We got our other host here, aka Brody on the hustle, also known as Coach B. We clutched up, we clutched out. You know what we talking about. We talking about that boxing, baby. Series of events that happen um, in the sport of boxing. So today we're gonna talk about it. But before we do all that, let's check on the host, Coach B. Coach B, let them know how you been, man.
I you know what it is. It's a wonderful day, wonderful night, whatever you want to call it, wherever your time is, wherever the sun rises, wherever the moon falls. You know what it is. It's a wonderful day, wonderful night again. Like I said, it's always a blessing to wake up and have breath in your body. Everything after that is extra. So be thankful, be truthful, be honest, do whatever it is you chose to do when you wake up because God gave you that opportunity. And most of all, like I said, it's just a blessing to be able to come back on here and commentate, add any type of, wordplay to whatever it is y'all want to talk about, especially here on this side of the pond and that side of the pond, because we got viewers all over now, and I respect that. So again, it's just a blessing to be able to do, what God sent us here to do.
That's big facts. That's big facts, man. All praise to the Most High. Let's segue into the topic. Straight up and down, no side effects. Jared Big Baby Anderson. Okay. Now, he's coming off a loss against Martin Bacoli. He fought the other day. He won by unanimous decision. But in that fight, his coach is talking to him. And the man looked like he was disinterested. He looked like he didn't want to be there. And then he was still making a lot of the same mistakes that he made, you know, prior to the Martin Bacoli fight. Even in the Martin Bacoli fight, he was making it in this fight. As far as chin in the air, going back in a straight line, dropping his hands. And as the coach, like I said earlier, Coach B is talking to him, he just seemed disinterested, you know? And so it's making me kind of question him even still wanting the box. So, Coach, give me your insight on that. Do you feel like Jared Big Baby Anderson is done? Do you feel like he's repairable? Do you think he need a change of scenery as far as like another coach who could reach him? Or do you feel like that Martin Bacoli fight took a lot out of him? Let me know something.
I'll be honest, like you say, straight up and down, no side effects. I'll be honest. Truthfully, he's repairable, but the true question remains is what coach and is he willing, Big Baby Anderson, is what coach and is Anderson willing to go through this type of transformation? Because being a coach, I've experienced this with a few fighters, and it's not the easiest hurdle or obstacle to overcome, especially when your fighter starts to check out mentally. Physically is one thing, you can possibly fix that and get that back to near as 100% as possible. But mentally, when somebody starts building that mental blockage in the sport of boxing, it affects more than just the mental. It affects the physical. It affects the type of attitude you get out of this character, the type of reaction this character presents in certain situations. So is he repairable? I would say yes to some extent, but at the same time, I do agree with you. This Martin Bacoli fight has taken a lot out of him because I've said this before, and again, I repeat it. I am on the record. He had no business in the ring with a Martin Bacoli simply because Martin Bacoli is a natural heavyweight. He is a natural big guy. He does not have to train or work out to be big or shrink himself down to size. And he comes with natural power. He comes with natural big guy instincts, and he comes with that natural tenacity of I'm in here to get you out of here. Now with Baby Anderson, it's kind of like, okay, we can beef you up to be a heavyweight, but can you really withstand a true heavyweight? You know what I'm saying? Because me, in my opinion, I believe Anderson should go down, not move up to fight bigger fighters like Martin McCauley. But again, long story short, The Bacoli fight took a lot out of him. Now, mentally, it's kind of hard to gauge where he's at, but the story that was presented in the corner when the coach was, presenting, some information to Baby Anderson, and you're looking off, you stargazing, you're kind of dazed, you looking around like, hey, do I even really want to be here? Says a lot. But is that repairable? Yes, but that means he has to make a change in his corner because he obviously doesn't have belief in himself right now, and he doesn't have belief in his corner. So that relationship has to be nipped in the bud, and Anderson has to move on. Now, what I would say is, what I would imply in this situation is, let's take this back to ground zero. Let's figure out what Big Baby Anderson is really good at. Let's find out what he's terrible at. And honestly, it's obvious what he's terrible at. His defense is suspect. And I've been saying this for a long time now. I'm on the record again saying he gets hit by the critical punches, the fundamental punches. And if you can get hit consistently by fundamental learning punches, fundamental top punches, you're going to have a long day in the office with anybody. If you get consistently hit with a jab, you're gonna have a long day at the office. If you can consistently get hit with the technical hook, you're going to have a long day at the office. Because what's going to happen when that jab gets very educated? What's going to happen when those hooks can ad lib? You can turn a hook into like a faint body shot and come back up. You're gonna have a long day, and you're gonna start seeing more and more knockouts, happening with that fighter because you get hit with the fundamental shots. You know what I'm saying? That means anything is available for you to get hit with. And again, I will say this: he's repairable, but the relationship that he currently has with that coach has to be broken. He has to move on to somebody who knows what they're doing. Ronnie Shields, Derrick James, maybe a Bomax, somebody different. That has to end. They have to move him, and I mean they have to move him like today, not like now. This has to happen now before we lose, somebody who has a potential to be a solid fighter and possibly get himself in the Hall of Fame as a heavyweight. And I'm gonna stick with that. But at the same time, right now he's in that mental space to where it's like, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to be a fighter? Do I still want to box? And we all know as coaches, fighters, trainers, whatever you want to call yourselves, when you associate yourself with the sport of boxing, we all know that mental blockage when it pops up, it takes real fortitude to continue to move forward through that. And if you can come out of that on the other side of that, that fight, then the horizon is impossible. You can get to anywhere you want to get to, but you have to fight through this and move forward. And with Baby Anderson, I just don't know, but I will say he's still somewhat repairable.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's repairable, but I also agree that he needs to move down to maybe cruiserweight. I mean, he's 6'4", 193. Okay, um, that's probably like maybe a little too light, and maybe he add a little bit more weight, when he fight. But according to this box rec, he 193. Okay, you fighting dudes that's 250, 60, 270, 280, and Big Baby Anderson's fighting style, he's a combination puncher, you know, and at that heavyweight division, in my opinion, I feel like that might be too much for him because at the heavyweight division, when you get caught flush at the heavyweight division, that could cut your lights out. One punch from a Wilder, one punch from a Julie Zhang, obviously Bacoli, you going down. So maybe
Hmm.
he needs to look to go down and weight to cruiserweight, and get a new coach. I feel like Derrick James would be a perfect fit for him because Derrick James is a disciplinarian and his fighters are very disciplined and they have the fundamentals. And I feel like also he teaches them how to slow the fight down and fight at a pace that they can implement those skills and set of fundamentals and be in control of the fight throughout the whole duration of the fight. You know, you see fighters like Errol. Errol is not really a combination puncher. He places his shots, right? Ryan Garcia, he taught Ryan how to place his shots and kind of be within the line of fire. You know what I mean? With a high guard, catching punches, you know, with elbows and blocking and catching and shooting and stuff like that while being in the line of fire. Also angling out, but still being in that mid range to close range inside game to where if you need to go to the body, you could throw a short shot, you know. Derek James to me is like a masterclass teacher of that active style, but there's still, and which is Coach B's favorite thing in coaching, the element of defense. There's still an element of defense there to where you can get out of harm's way, but still be in a line of fire to be able to return and dish out punishment on your opponent. I mean, Coach, what you think about that, Derek James? I know you kind of briefly touched on it, but what you think about that Derek James coaching style? Will that benefit him? And also, if he goes down in weight.
Going down in weight, you know me, like I mentioned earlier, going down in weight, I feel like that'll be a plus for him because he'll still be able to possess the advantage of, somewhat in between or heavyweight, but at the same time, cruiserweight. He'll have the speed advantage, and he'll also be able to throw his combinations comfortably. What I mean by that is throwing his combinations comfortably. He'll be down at a weight to where he can withstand a little bit more punishment. With combination punches, you got to kind of get your shots off when you can, and sometimes that leave you open to absorb shots. But at the same time, by moving him down in weight, he'll be able to absorb that positively versus negatively. Right now, he's taking flush shots, like you said, and he's going down with ease from some of these bigger guys. These guys are natural heavyweights. He's not a natural heavyweight. Now, if we had him in the sport of football, okay, he's a big dude. But boxing at heavyweight, 190, that means you fluctuating anywhere between 190 to maybe 198 at your best. That's not big enough for somebody who's 250, 260, 270, and so forth. You know what I'm saying? So moving down to cruiserweight, like you mentioned, is a positive. And also, like I said, he'll be able to absorb that punishment. Now, adding a Derek James to his fight style will be brilliant. It would be magnificent for him because why? All the things you mentioned. The being able to fight in a line of fire. Combination punchers have to understand to you have to be in a line of fire to get your combinations off. And the Derek James styles his style allows you to do that. He allow you to per se get in there, keep all the fundamentals intact, and you can get your rocks off. You don't have to go crazy dumb and let off 6, 7, you know, combination punches and flurries like that. But at the same time, his style allows you to throw those 3, 4 punch combinations comfortably with enough education from the defensive side and the footwork side of boxing to get out of the way and avoid most of what you're opponent can throw his counter punches. So I think it's a plus if he can get with Derek James, and I definitely think it's a big upside if he can move down the cruiserweight again to be able to absorb the punishment and also dish it because he'll possess the advantage of speed. He'll maintain his power, and he'll also have that level of absorption, due to his stature.
Yeah, I agree. And hopefully, Big Baby Anderson can, kind of get that love and drive back for boxing. He's a very talented young fighter. He's only 25 years old. You know what I'm saying? I want him to be able to kind of grow in the sport. You know what I'm saying? I think he didn't have a really extensive amateur career either. So, you know what I mean? He only had like 28 fights. So he in the amateur. So, he ain't a guy that has a real deep amateur pedigree. But hopefully, he's able to get that drive and passion back in the sport of boxing. And hopefully he can call Derek James. Like I said, I feel like that's a perfect match.